Sanjeev, please mute everybody. Everybody, please mute yourself. Hardik, Hardik, please mute yourself. Thank you. So let us do another example today, continuing with what we did last time. Okay, so let us talk about silicon. Okay, silicon has a lattice constant of 5.43 angstroms. Okay, the atomic mass of silicon is 28. Okay, please find out the density and volume density of silicon. Please do that. I'll give you a couple of minutes to do it. So first about the volume density, let us first find out the volume density. Okay, so what is volume density? It is the number of atoms per centimeter cube. That is volume density. So in what will be the volume of a unit cell? What will be the volume of a unit cell here?
A cube.
A cube. Okay. So how many atoms do you have in one unit cell? We already calculated it in the last class.
8.
8.
8.
So
8.
8
8.
8 divided by a cube. Okay, that will be your volume density of silicon. Okay, so 8 divided by 5.43 cube into 10 to power minus 24. Is that okay? ठीक है, per centimeter cube. Once you calculate it, what will you get? Calculate करो भाई कोई और बताओ. Anybody?
.99 into 10 to the power 22.
Okay, so approximately let us say 5 into 10 to power 22 per centimeter cube. Okay, so this is the number of atoms of silicon that you have in 1 centimeter cube. Okay, so if you were to find out the density, how will you do that? Density is weight per centimeter cube or weight per meter cube, if you want to call it in either way. So if you were to, if you could multiply what the number, the weight of one atom by this, you will get your uh, density. Okay, so this is the number of atoms per centimeter cube. If you multiply by the weight of one atom, you'll get your overall density, grams per centimeter cube. Okay, so what will be the weight of one atom of silicon?
28 by Na.
How much?
Na.
28 AMU.
28 AMU. How much is that? So weight of one atom. So weight of one atom of silicon is going to be 28 times your weight of one proton or neutron. How much is that?
1.66 into 10 power minus 25
Grams. Okay.
gram.
So 1.6 into 10 to power minus 24 grams. ठीक है? So if you were to multiply this with that, so 28 times 1.6 times 5 times 10 to power 22 times 10 to power minus 24 grams per centimeter cube. Okay, so that will give you how much? So what is your density? क्या आ रही है?
2.24.
How much?
2.24.
2.24.
2.32.
Okay, one of you
2.24.
get. Anybody else?
2.24.
Okay,
2.32, sir.
sure.
Um,
Anyway, it is either 2.24 or 2.32 grams per centimeter cube. Okay.
so 2.32.
Okay. We have a gender divide over here. Girls are saying 2.32, boys are saying 2.24. So please decide. You go and decide on your own. Anyway,
It will be 1.66, sir.
okay. So that will give you a difference.
Okay.
That's fine. Okay. So this is how, if you knew even one parameter, you could find out various things about your material. Okay. If you know the density in one unit cell, you know the density everywhere. Okay, because it's the same material everywhere, which is repeating. Okay. So that is an example of what we studied in the last class. Let us continue forward. And talk about planes. So please mute yourself, yaar, jo bhi hai. So planes, sometimes it makes it is very useful to know the different planes in your material. Okay, because finally every material will have a surface. Okay, every material will have a surface, and most of your devices are surface. So most of your silicon-based devices are surface-based devices. So it really matters what is on your surface. Okay, so even if you have a 3D material, somewhere it has to end. Okay, and then at the top you'll have one particular surface. Okay, so that is why we are studying about different planes in your lattice. So let us say that you have a cubic. ठीक है? Imagine that there is a lattice here. Okay, this is your origin. Okay, this is your origin, and it's a cubic lattice. Okay, and
Sir,
yeah.
sir, actually you are not streaming on YouTube, so video quality on my Teams is not so good.
Can you repeat?
Sir, you are
Sir, on
it is not streaming on YouTube.
It's not live.
Can you go to my channel page?
Yes, sir. I'm there only.
Yes, sir. There is no streaming there.
No stream?
No, sir.
Okay. Anyway, from the next time onwards, please mention it in the beginning itself. Okay, thank you for mentioning it now, but in the future, if it's not there in the beginning, please mention it at that time only. Okay, please do not wait. YouTube keeps on coming up with newer and newer changes in its interface. Today suddenly there was another. Anyway, can you see it now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So assume that there is a lattice over here, okay, and it has multiple cubes, okay, A, 2A, 3A, where A is your lattice constant, okay. So you have a full lattice, you have a lot of atoms present everywhere, okay, at the distance A, 2A, 3A is your unit cell. Again on this side also A, 2A, 3A, okay. Now, if I were to talk about a plane, okay, which is passing through these 3 points, okay, let me use my. You have a plane which is passing through these 3 points, okay, and you want to describe it. You want to finally mathematically describe a plane, okay. How will you do it? You will assign some number to it most likely, okay. And how do we assign those numbers? Those numbers are called as, let me write that down, it is called as Miller indices, okay. Those numbers which describe a particular plane are called as Miller indices. I don't know whether you have studied that in your, I know you have studied vectors, 3D vectors and 3D geometry in your 12th class, but I don't know whether you have studied these Miller indices or not, but so that's why I'm repeating it. So how do you find out your Miller indices? What do? You first write down the 3 coordinates. So this is your x, y and z. So the 3 coordinates here are a and a, okay. The first thing that you do is write down the 3 coordinates, three intercepts, okay, the places where your plane is crossing your 3 axes, okay. So here it is crossing x axis at a, y axis at a and the z axis also at a, okay. Anybody has a question? If not, please mute yourself. So these are the 3 places where your plane is crossing your 3 axes. Now next point is to take inverse. Okay, what is the inverse? 1 over a, 1 over a and 1 over a. Okay, and finally get rid of any fractions, okay. So in this case we can multiply these three again. Multiplication does not really change anything because it only shifts the plane, okay. We'll get into that in a moment, okay. So if you multiply by a everywhere, you're going to get 1 1 1, okay. So this plane, this blue plane is described by the Miller indices 1 1 1, okay. So now we could also talk about directions, okay. Whenever you want to talk about direction of a plane, how will you talk about direction of a plane? Okay, is there a direction associated with a plane? Plane is a 2D structure. Is there a direction that we can associate with a plane easily?
Yes, sir.
Which one?
Perpendicular to its
Yeah.
Direction of normal.
The direction perpendicular to your plane will be a unique direction, okay. So we can use that particular direction to describe your plane also, okay. So the direction corresponding to this, can anybody tell me what would that direction be? in terms of your 3D coordinate geometry memory?
I plus j plus k.
Yeah, so the directions will also be given by uh, just the coordinates 1 1 1. Okay, so 1 1 1. Okay, that is the direction corresponding to the perpendicular plane. Okay, so 1 1 1 will be the direction. So if you know the direction, you can just change the brackets. Okay, square brackets are for denoting directions. Okay, and your circular brackets are for denoting your planes. Okay, so the 111 is the Miller indices of this particular plane, and 111 in square brackets is the direction of this particular plane. Okay, so what have I done here? I plus j plus k is correct. Okay, I have just written down the coefficients corresponding to I, j, and k. Okay, so 1 1 and 1. Okay, so now let us say that instead of my coordinates being 1 1 1 means a were my initial intercepts. Now if instead of a, if we had 2a 2a 2a, what would this plane be compared to my a plane?
No change.
What will the Miller indices be? The Miller indices here we multiplied by a number which removed any fractions over here. Okay, so we multiplied this by a. Okay, so instead of a we'll have 2a over here. Okay, and when we take the reciprocal, we'll get 2a here, and we want to remove this fraction, so it will become 2a again. So we'll have 1 1 1. So do you think it is reasonable to say that these two planes are the same?
No, sir. Parallel.
As far as mathematics is concerned?
No.
Why not?
No, sir.
Do you
They
think
are parallel.
do you think there will be a difference in the number of atoms present in that particular plane?
Yes, sir.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
Venkat, Sai, Murthy. Why do you say?
Uh, it contains different.
Please understand that this is just a mathematical representation. The origin does not exist. Okay, in a real crystal, an origin does not exist. We are assigning that particular origin. Okay, so here I have assigned this as my origin. Okay, I could easily move to point 1 1 1 and assign that as my origin. Okay, so then what would happen to these 2a 2a 2a? They'll again become a in that particular new origin. Okay, if I move my this original origin to point 1 1 1 or a, okay, what is going to happen to 2a 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 in that changed origin? It will become a. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
So as far as the crystal is concerned, they are exactly the same planes. Okay, so any parallel planes, okay, parallel planes passing through a different unit cell. Okay, so in this case this whole plane was present in one unit cell. Okay, if I go to another plane in another unit cell, it will be identical because unit cells are repeating again and again. Okay, so these two planes, the plane passing through a, although in physical terms it is not really the same, but in mathematical terms they are the same. Okay, why? Because mathematically our origin is flexible. Okay, we can change the origin anywhere. Okay, so that is why mathematically both these two planes give us the Miller indices 1 1 1. Okay, and the direction is obviously the same again because these two planes are parallel to each other. The direction will also be 1 1 1. Okay, so now if I were to talk about a simple cubic structure, okay, why are we talking about these planes? Let us look into that. If I were to talk about a simple cubic structure, what would happen in that case?
Sir,
Yeah,
sir, here a and 2a on this axis, does they represent the length? Like, what is the length from origin? Or
yeah,
you are
same.
saying that it represents the unit cell? So However, unit cell has some dimension. So is it the XYZ dimension of its sides?
Yeah.
Like
A
x
here, A is your lattice constant. So A is your
okay.
lattice constant. So A is the size of your unit cell, a cubic unit cell.
So sir, 2A means that the side is of size 2A.
No. Please understand that. The size is not of side 2A. Please try to understand. There is one unit cell of this size. Okay. Another unit cell again of the size A. Third unit cell again of the size A. We are just looking at the distance from the origin. That's all. Okay. So there are
Okay.
three unit cells between origin and 3A. Okay.
Sir, so here in this case, the plane you draw two plane, one passing through all the A's and one passing through all 2A.
Yeah.
So, sir, they will have different atom because, matlab, 2A one will have more number of atoms, I
No, no,
guess.
no, no, no. Here, the number of atoms is not really that important. What is important is the density of atoms. So the area is also becoming twice. No, if let us say the number of atoms become
Yes,
okay.
yes, sir. So density will remain same, but
Yeah,
number will be different.
yeah. Because see, here we are again mathematics. This is all mathematics. In reality, your crystal is spread out in all three directions. Okay, so there is no end to any particular plane. Okay, the plane is going infinitely. So I am just drawing a small portion of this particular plane. This plane is obviously, this blue plane is going in this direction everywhere. It is present everywhere. Okay, so the direct in an overall sense, the size of the plane passing through A and the plane passing through 2A is the same. Do you
Okay, sir.
understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So that is why
Sir.
we talk about densities, because most of the times we are talking about a very large scale as compared to an atomic size. So even if you have a couple of atoms difference, it's not really a big of a difference. So that's why we talk about density, assuming that your crystal is infinite. Okay, whether we talk about planar densities or we talk about volume densities, area density as well as volume density, in both cases we are going to talk about densities, not the number of atoms. Okay.
Sir,
Yeah.
if we consider BCC,
Yeah.
then the plane passing through A by 4, A by 4, A by 4, and A are not same, sir. Number of atoms in a plane.
Obviously. So I'm not saying.
Then,
So I'm not saying that. I'm saying the number of atoms passing through A and 2A are the same.
yes, sir. But when we adjust the
Yeah.
coordinates differently, then it will be different.
What do you mean? I'm not
Uh,
again. Please understand that number of, when I say number of atoms, I mean density of atoms. Okay, density of atoms will be the same in A plane and the 2A plane.
okay, sir.
Okay, when I say number of atoms, please try to
Yes.
understand that, because number will obviously be different because the size is different. Okay, this is twice or maybe four times the area of the A plane. Okay, the one we have drawn over here. So we are talking about density, not, when I say number I mean density here. Okay, is that okay, Murthy?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so why are we talking about this? The reason we are talking about this is because it becomes important for your electronic properties, or the electronic properties vary depending on the number of atoms that you may have in a particular plane. Okay, so if you have a simple cubic structure. Okay, now if I talk about, so you have how many, eight atoms at eight corners. Okay, please find out the density of atoms. Okay, please find out the density of atoms on the plane 1 1 1 and 1 0 0. Okay, assume that the side is A. Did anybody do it? One zero zero is easier, so why don't we start with that? How many? What is the? So if you were to look at 100 plane, what will 100 be?
1 by 2 a cube, sir, for 100.
So we'll start with the in the opposite direction. Okay. So if you have 100, you write down 100. Next thing you do is take inverse of that. Okay. So that inverse is going to be what? 1, infinite, and infinite. Okay. So what is 1? Then we multiply it by anything which is a function of a. So we will, rather than multiplying by anything else, we multiply it by a, then becomes a infinite infinite. Okay. So you have x intercept is a. Okay. The x intercept is a, and y intercept and z intercept both are what? Infinite. Okay. So what particular plane are we talking about over here, assuming that this is my origin? Okay. If this is my origin, what particular plane am I talking about? Huh? Which side? Which side? I'm telling you one of the faces. Wait, hold on. I'm telling you that it is one of the faces. Okay, which particular face are we talking about?
Right one, sir.
The right
Right
face.
Okay, the right face is going to be your 1. This will be 1 0 0. Why? Because x intercept in this particular case is your a, and y and z, it is parallel to both y and z planes. So the intercept in those for both y and z is going to be infinite. Okay. So when we talk about this particular plane, okay, let us take a look at this particular plane. What about how many atoms do you have in this particular square? So this will be a square. Okay, in this particular square, how many atoms do you have?
1 by 2.
1 by 2. Are you sure?
1.
Again, please remember that it is no longer, we are no longer talking about. Hold on. Arush, please wait. So we are no longer talking about a 3-dimensional structure. When we are talking about a plane, we are going to think about it as a 2-dimensional structure now. Okay. So you have to see how many atoms from the neighboring unit cell. How many neighboring unit cell is this atom being shared by? Okay. So this particular atom is being shared by how many neighboring unit cells in this plane? In this plane, 1, 2. There will be a plane over here, and 3 and 4. Okay. So one atom is being shared by 4 unit cells in this plane. Okay. Again, please understand that we are talking about a 2D unit cells now. No longer we are talking about 3D unit cells. So we don't have to worry about whether the unit cell is on this side or that side. Does not really matter. Okay. We are talking about 2D unit cells now. Okay. So in 2D unit cells we have what? We have how many? 4 unit cells are sharing this particular this atom is being shared by 4 unit cells. Yeah, Arush, please move on. Go ahead. Arush, do you have a question?
In this one it will be one atom shared by that in that plane, 1/4 each. That was what I was saying.
Okay, yeah, 1/4 each. So 1 by 4 times 4 is going to be 1 atom. Okay, so density will be, so number of atoms, the density is going to be 1 by a square. Okay, the area density of atoms is going to be 1 by a square for the plane 1 0 0. Okay, and since it's a cubic structure, what do you think about the plane 101? Not 101, sorry. 0 1 0.
It will be same.
It will be the same.
Same, sir.
Okay, it will have the same exact same area density as this. Okay, and finally 0 0 1. So they are effectively equivalent in case of cubic structures. Okay, 1 0 0 0 1 0 and 0 0 1 are effectively the same, because why? Again, from mathematically, why do you think they are equivalent in a cubic structure?
Similar densities.
So because direction can be x, y, or z, and
Yeah, we can choose
in a
any of.
crystal,
We
we have just defined
yeah, good. Who is it? Arush again.
Arush.
Yes. Okay. So it is your choice whether you want to choose a particular axis as x or y or z. So since it's a cubic structure, it does not really matter which one you choose as x, y, or z. Okay. So 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, and 0, 0, 1 are equivalent planes in a cubic structure. Okay. They are not mathematically equivalent. Please understand that they are equivalent physically because of our physical reasons. Okay. So our next point was 1, 1, 1. Okay. So what will be your density in 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1? How many atoms will you have in 1, 1, 1?
1.
So let me draw what 1, 1, 1 would look like. So this is your origin. This is A. Okay. This is A on X. Okay. This is another A. This A is on Y. Okay. And this A is on Z. Okay. So how many atoms do you have here on this particular plane?
Sir, half.
3 by 4.
Yeah.
3 by 4.
3 by 4. Why do you say that?
Sir, no. Sir, 1 by 6 part of the atom will be shared in 1 unit, sir.
Yeah, you can see. Please understand that this angle.
So
okay,
60-degree angle.
This is a 60-degree angle because it's an equilateral triangle. Okay, all these three diagonals are the same size. So it's an equilateral triangle. So this will be a 60-degree angle. Okay, so only 1 by 60 degree by 360 degree part of your atom is in this particular area. Okay, so you have 60-degree angle over here. So you have 1/6 of an atom present from this. So this atom will be 1/6. So you have 1/6 atom present on all three corners of the triangle. Okay, so you finally get 1/6 divided by multiplied by 3. That is going to be your half atom is present in your this particular triangle. Okay, and what is the area of this triangle?
Sir, root 3a square.
So this is root 2a. Is that okay? This is going to be root 2a. A and A, Pythagoras theorem. This is going to be root 2a. So if this is root 2a, that is your base into उसका क्या होता है formula? Root
Sir,
3 by
root
4.
3 by 2 into a square होता है. वैसे तो यहाँ पे a root a हो गया.
3 by
So,
4.
root 3 by 4 नहीं होता.
Root 3 by 4 a square.
4 होता है ना?
Root
2
3
होता
by
है.
4 a
3 by
square.
4 होता है.
Sir,
Root 3 by 4.
Yes. Root 3 by 4 a square. So
Oh,
A in this case is root 2 a. Okay, so that will be your area. So area is going to be this much. So it becomes root 3 by 2 a square. Okay, so your density is going to be how much? Density कितनी होगी? So
1 by
so your density is going to be area density of atoms is going to be 1 by 2 divided by the area. Area is root 3 by 2 a square is gone. You get 1 by root 3 a square. Okay, so this is density for the plane 1, 1, 1. This was the density for the plane 1, 0, 0. Is that okay? So anybody has any questions here? Did everybody understand how I went from 1, 1, 1 to this? Okay, what I'm going to do, I'll take the inverse of these 1, 1, 1. The inverse is going to be again 1 multiplied by a. So that gives you your x, y and z intercepts. So x, y and z intercepts are going to be a and a. Okay. So that is your, so you can clearly see that you have different densities of atoms on these two different planes. Okay, in 100 you have a particular density, in 1111 you have a different density. So your electronic conduction, if an electron is traveling in this particular plane, in this blue plane, it is traveling in blue plane, it is going to encounter a different density of electrons. Okay, and if it is traveling in the pink plane, it is going to encounter a different density of electrons, atoms. Okay, so obviously your electronic properties are going to be a little bit different in both these cases. Okay, so it is very important what particular, so if you take a silicon wafer, okay, if you take a silicon wafer, okay, let us say this is my silicon wafer, and most of our conduction is taking place at the surface. Okay, so it really matters what is the density of atoms that that particular electron is experiencing. So if my surface is 100, okay, we are going to see a particular density of atoms. Okay, and if the surface is 111, then it will be a different density. Intuitively speaking, let us forget about quantum mechanics for now. Intuitively speaking, which of the two conductions is going to be easier? Okay,
Sir,
What
with
do you-
more density,
huh?
which have the more density.
111 is going to be easier, means better higher conduction. Is that what you are saying? क्या नाम है? Karthik, ready? Did you say something? Okay, intuitively speaking, I think somebody already mentioned it, but they are not repeating it again anyway. So intuitively speaking, the one which has a lower density of atoms is going to see a lesser amount of what opposing forces. Okay, the biggest opposing force in a crystal is going to be the atom, the nucleus itself. Okay, so if you do not have those nuclei, then your electron would travel very fast. Okay, so if in a particular plane the encounter with those atoms, okay, with those nuclei is smaller, you expect your electron to move faster in that particular plane. Okay, so in these two cases the density in this case is smaller. Okay, it is 1 by root 3, which is 1 by root 3 is 1 by 1.732 or something like that. Okay, so it is much smaller than the density that you will encounter in the 100 plane. So if you forget about quantum mechanics from a classical point of view, we expect that this would have a better conduction as compared to the 100 plane. Okay, so that is all that we'll do for crystal lattices. Okay. क्लास चल रही है. So we already knew a lot about the different properties of materials before.
Sir, it is out of the frame.
Which part?
The thing which you have written, it's out of the frame.
No, just a failure of classical mechanics. Only the S is missing. That's all. Is that correct or no? Or is it missing for everybody?
Sir, everything is missing, sir.
Everything is missing.
Sir, they need to shift it to fit to frame.
Fit to
Those
frame.
who
Please,
have
please right click. Please right click on your team and fit to frame. Okay.
Now it is okay.
Okay. Please, everybody do it. If you are missing what is written on the board, please right click on your my video and click fit to frame. And if you want to watch it on YouTube, then it should be clear. Okay. Where am I? Yeah. So in a classical mechanics sort of sense, okay. Come on, please mute yourself, whoever is unmuted. Hardik, Rathorji, please. In classical terms, what is the relation between momentum and energy for an electron? If there is no electric field present anywhere, means if there is no other system, if you are talking about vacuum, what will be the relation between energy and momentum for an electron?
Momentum equals to energy by speed of light.
Speed of
Right.
light.
P square by 2m.
Yeah, speed of not light, but the speed. If you were to talk in that sense, what you are talking about, are you sure that it will be speed of light? It will be the speed of the electron. No. Electron does not move at the speed of light.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Please understand that it is much slower, much slower than that. Okay, there is no comparison between what the speed at which the electron can move and the speed at which although signals can move, electronic signals can move, but an individual electron is not moving at that particular speed. Please understand that. Okay.
Yes, sir.
We have electronic signals that may travel very fast. Okay, but that happens because of a complete means electrons moving in unison. Okay, one electron is pushing the next and so on and so forth. Okay, one electron is not moving at that particular speed. Okay, so if you were to connect a wire from here to America, okay, it is not that this particular electron is reaching America at this particular instant. Okay, at the speed of light, it does not happen that way. Okay, electrons move much slower. The electrical signal may travel faster, but electron travels at much slower speed. Okay. So the relation between E and your is going to be 2m0, where m0 is your mass of electron. Okay, and p is your momentum, and this is your energy. Okay, and dp over dt is going to be what? ये क्या होता है?
Force. F.
Force. Okay, and what is any external force? Again, Newton's second law. Any external force is going to cause a change in your momentum. Okay, so and if you had electric and magnetic fields, then what will this force, external force, look like? If you had electrical and magnetic fields, बताओ भाई. It will be minus E, your electric field, your electronic charge, multiplied by your field, electric field, plus V cross B. Okay, okay, where F, capital F, without any subscript, is your electric field. This is your electric field. Electric field. B is your magnetic field, and V is your velocity. Okay, so these are the two primary equations that describe motion of electrons in a classical sense. Okay, so most of the time, I mean, before the advent of maybe 1930s and so on and so forth, we were only talking in terms of classical mechanics. So there were people who tried to explain different uh, different theories, different mechanisms, different observations using classical theories. So one of the first people to talk about this electronic means try to explain the conductivities of different materials, okay, was Drude. Okay, at the beginning of the last century. Okay, Drude was the first person to do that. What he did was he tried to see. We all knew that some materials have a higher conduction, like metals have higher conduction as compared to insulators. We knew that. Okay, but we did not know what is the physics behind it. So Drude was the first person who tried to explain this particular phenomena. So what he we already knew a little bit about valence electrons and core electrons. So there are every atom has different components like protons, neutrons, and electrons. This was known, but we all thought that by only classical mechanics is sufficient to explain whatever is happening in a particular atom. So Drude used the same classical method. So what he said, why we have a material, okay, and it consists of a lot of nuclei, okay, which contain your protons and neutrons, okay, and along with the nucleus you have some bound electrons, okay, you have bound electrons which are called as core electrons. So this is your nucleus and this is your core electrons, okay, and finally in the outer shell you have your valence electrons, okay. So you have your valence electrons in the outer shell, okay. Yellow color is not visible in any case. So these are your valence or outer electrons, okay. So what happens in that particular case? He postulated, he theorized that your current is prime. Whenever you apply an electric field in such a material, current is driven by valence electrons, okay, and your nucleus and your core electrons, they do not do anything, they just stay there, okay. So if that is the case, okay, if that is the case, then what would happen to your conductivity? Then could you explain something about the conductivity of different materials?
So the one having more valence electron will conduct more according to this.
Yeah, according to this particular Advait, please बोलो नहीं, तुम अपना काम करो, बोलो नहीं. So we have so yeah, you're right. Who was it? कौन था भाई? Rudraksh.
Yes.
Okay, Rudraksh, thank you. So the material which will have higher number of valence electrons is going to have a higher conductivity, okay. So let us look at a particular example, okay. So we have three materials: aluminium, silicon, and carbon. Carbon and silicon. Okay, we have these three materials: aluminium, carbon, and silicon. What happens in case of we already know what the answer is going to be, but let us do a calculation here. Okay, so the atomic number, atomic mass of these materials is: aluminium is 27, carbon is 12, and silicon is 28. Okay, and the total number of atomic number of these three materials is 13, 6, and 14. Okay, and the atomic number that participates in conduction, the C stands for conduction. Okay, the atomic number that the number of electrons that participate in conduction, what are those three for these three materials? What would they be? How many valence electrons per atom do you think these three materials have?
3, 4.
Huh?
4.
How many does aluminum have?
3.
3.
3.
3 and carbon has 4 and silicon has
4 and
4.
4.
Okay. So can you please calculate the density, electron density? Okay. Please calculate the volume, the valence electron density for these three materials. But you will need something else to do that. What else do you need?
Dimensions of the cell.
Yeah. I don't have the dimensions of the cell, but I have the density. Okay, rho. Rho is 2.7 for aluminium. For silicon, it is, for carbon, it is 3.515, and for silicon, it is 2.33 grams per centimeter cube. Please remember that what for let's say for silicon, okay, in 28 grams of silicon, okay, how many silicon atoms would be there? 28 is your atomic weight of silicon. How many atoms would be there in 28 grams of silicon?
1 mole.
Avogadro's number.
1
Okay.
mole.
6.023 into 10 to power 23 atoms. Okay, so you can use this particular concept to find out what will be your individual this will help you in finding out the number of atoms. Okay, if you find out the number of atoms, you can find out the number of electrons. Okay, valence electrons. Okay, you can do the calculation. I'll give you the final answer. Okay, so the number of valence electrons is going to be 1.8 for aluminium, 7.06 for carbon, and 2.0. So all of these three are multiplied by 10 to power 23 per centimeter cube. Okay, so this is the number of valence electrons. Okay, there is no space here to write 10 to power 20 multiplied by 10 to power 23 per centimeter cube, but this is 1.8 times 10 to power 23 per centimeter cube. This is 7.06 times 10 to power 23 per centimeter cube, and this is 2.0 into 10 to power 23 per centimeter cube. But again, a model is only as good as what? If it correctly predicts what happens in reality. But do you think that this is an accurate picture of what would happen in reality? What is carbon in its pure form?
Insulator almost.
Insulator, and a very good insulator. Okay, diamond is a very good insulator of electricity. What about silicon? It has a conductivity means between diamond and a metal. Okay, and aluminium is a what? A metal. So it's it's a very good conductor of electricity. Okay, before copper was viable in India, we used to use aluminium for having our house wiring. Okay, in my house in IIT, it's a very old house, like 60-70 years old house. So in this particular house, the wiring is made of the electrical wiring is of aluminium instead of copper. So aluminium is a very good conductor of electricity. Okay, so according to this Drude's model, okay, what is happening? Aluminium is the worst conductor of electricity as far as this model is concerned, and carbon is the best. Whereas in reality it is opposite. Okay, so this is one example of failure of classical mechanics. So the classical mechanics is not good enough to explain this particular phenomena. Okay, that our metals have a higher, aluminium has a higher conductivity than carbon or silicon. Okay, so we have to look into alternate theories for finding out, for explaining the phenomena that we are seeing in this world. So that alternate theory is what? Called what? Anybody?
Energy gap theory.
In overall terms, this is classical mechanics. Opposite of that is
Quantum.
quantum
Quantum
mechanics.
mechanics.
Okay, so we'll continue with quantum mechanics in the next class. We'll not do much of it because finally, see, we start. क्या कर दिया भाई तुमने? अद्वैत, बाहर जाओ. So, yeah, one other I mean, there are a couple of things that maybe we'll continue in the next class because it's already 12 o'clock. So we'll continue in the next class. Oh, why don't I write it? Okay, there are a couple of more things that this Drude model fails to explain. Fails to explain a couple more things, which are number one, okay, in some materials it appears that your current is being conducted by positively charged particles. Okay, conduction is happening due to positively charged particles. Okay, Drude model cannot explain that. Okay, Drude model assumes that all the conduction takes place because of electrons. Okay, so we already know in semiconductors we have holes which appear like that current is being conducted by positively charged particles, so Drude model cannot explain that. Okay, another one was that, see, in this case we are saying that if we have a higher number of valence electrons, we'll have proportionately higher conduction, but that does not really happen. For example, in case of semiconductors, okay, you add a small amount of impurities. Okay, you add a small amount of impurities. For example, in silicon, okay, in silicon the number of the conductivity of silicon is, let us say, x. Okay, and you add a small amount of impurities, let us say 0.000000001%. Okay, you add something of this particular magnitude. Okay, so we are adding an impurity of this particular magnitude, and we see that the conduction jumps by like probably 10 to power 5 times higher conduction. Okay, by just adding this much small amount of impurity, we are getting such a higher conduction, which is again not explainable by Drude's model. Okay, and in some materials, Ohm's law is not obeyed. Okay, these are different ways of again, this is all based is what it boils down to Ohm's law. Okay, so in some materials Ohm's law is not obeyed at all. Okay, I is so Ohm's law is V is equal to IR. Okay, in some materials we see that this is this is not obeyed at all. Okay, so this root model which uses Ohm's law as its basic as its backbone is obviously not going to work if if the Ohm's law itself is not being followed. Then if the backbone is broken, then obviously anything that is built on that particular backbone is not going to be very accurate either in predicting what is happening. Okay, so this is an example, just one example of how the previous methods for explaining semiconductor phenomena or electricity in general failed, and we had to resort to other methods, and we are going to study a little bit about that in the next class. Again, quantum mechanics, if you have studied it, has anybody studied quantum mechanics? You might have studied in the first semester, no?
Second semester, quantum physics.
Okay, you have already studied that in second semester. Do you remember anything, or do you understand anything?
Not much, sir.
Not much. I have taken probably 5-6 courses on quantum mechanics, which had their basics, means basis behind it was quantum mechanics. I also don't understand it. If you read any book by any honest scientist, you are going to hear from them that they don't understand it either. So we are going to we are going to start from a place where we don't understand it. So the means we start from Schrodinger equation. Where does Schrodinger equation come from? Okay, you might have studied that a little bit. Again, if we start from Schrodinger equation, which we do not know anything about, okay, and we move on and build something else, that is what most approaches people do quantum mechanics. They do not understand quantum mechanics. So there are very good doers of quantum mechanics, but hardly anybody understands what is going on. So I don't understand it either, and I find it. भाई चुप हो थोड़ी देर, एक सेकेंड 2 मिनट और ले रहा हूँ बस. So I don't understand it either, and I don't want to focus too much on something I don't understand. And so we'll use a little couple of results from quantum mechanics and move forward with our course. Okay, so yeah, some people are very good at mathematics and so on, so they can delve deeper into quantum mechanics. They can take higher grade quantum mechanics courses. But for this particular course, we'll use a couple of results and move forward in our course. Okay, thank you. I'll see you on Monday. Okay, bye bye. If anybody has a question, I can answer that. Otherwise, we'll stop. Nobody has a question? Okay, thank you then. Bye bye.